Tracy with the Rhapsody Art Barn, and I'm here today to go over just basic transfer 101. So I use IOD transfers. Today I'm going to use it on a window. If you want to see how I then resin the window, that's another video. But today we're going to adhere the transfers onto the window. And then I usually pour a resin coating over the top of them, especially when I'm doing it on a window. You can use a top coat sealer if you're doing it on wood or actually any material other than a window. You're gonna see a halo if you try to do a top coat sealer on the window, and I kind of like that watery look when I'm doing my transfers. So here is the one that I'm using today. It's called Flora Parisiensis. I don't know if I'm butchering that name, but it is a 4 sheet. So these IODs typically come in either 4 or 8 sheets, and they are the size of this. This is actually the cover. So these are the actual transfers. They come on a clear backing with a grid so you can align them. And so they're going to be 4 sheets. Some transfers have 8 sheets, and then they also give you some ideas of what you can do with these. So you can cut them apart or you can use them as a scene. Today I'm going to use a majority of the stencil because my window is quite large. So this, just to give you a scale, is a 12 by 16 sheet. So there's 4 12 by 16 sheets. So you can do a lot of projects with these, even if you don't do it all on one. So I'm gonna tilt you down. Hopefully you can see the whole window as I'm working. You won't be able to see me, but that's okay. Try to get you as much in the frame as possible. And I think that's as good as I'm gonna get. You can see my little chicken. You can watch my little chicken. Okay, so here are the sheets as they come. So they always line up together. So you're gonna look at it as if it's one whole picture that goes together. So if there's an outline of a leaf here, then there's gonna be the leaf that fits in to this outline on the bottom half. See, the stems will go together, the flowers will go together, 2 petals go onto this. Same with these over here, they go together. But you have to put the images down one at a time. And I like to set up my image before I started hearing anything. I've cleaned my glass with vinegar water. That's all I use to clean it. I've also sealed the edges up with some DIY paint top coat, which is Big Top. That's what I used because I don't know how, this window's an older window clearly, and I don't know what kind of paint was on it. So I seal it to make sure that I'm not touching any paint that isn't good. So you can do whatever you want. You could cut out just the letters and stick them in the center and then arrange the flowers. I'm not mad at the arrangement right now. I think that this actually fits the space pretty well. So you're gonna have it go together to where all the letters kind of fit together. And I think actually it's gonna be centered, that this fits the space. I want it all the way across my window, so I'm actually going to be adding these leaves down here, these flowers down here. See what you can do? These leaves down here. However, I want to take the edges, these, and place them in the bare space to the side here, this side. And I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm gonna probably take this one. I'm not sure that, I've gotta look at it all. Either this one or this one, and utilize it in the space here. Now that I'm looking at it, I'll probably do this one. It's about the same height as the lavender on this side. So if I make a decision to do something like that, I'm gonna look at it. So I'm gonna cut out what I have here. And I'm gonna set it where I think I want it, which looks like a good height. So as I'm looking at the scale, these are going all the way up. I can actually move these up a little, but these are not a bad scale. It doesn't go too far up and it doesn't go too far down. And as I place my images, I'll see if I want to start from the base or if I want to start from, you know, up high. I might even want to take it down a little lower to where the stem is, or I could add a piece of another stem that I don't use, which is probably what I'll do, and make it even longer. So if I wanted to put it up here, I could borrow some of this stem, and it doesn't matter if it's exact, okay? So that's what I'm gonna be doing on this. I want the rest of these 3 images, actually all the way to here, I believe. Let's see, let's look. So yeah, all of these images minus the C go with this flower. So it's actually even going to be taller than I'm showing right here, and a little bit wider because it's going to go all the way from this side. So what you can do is, if it doesn't fit width-wise, you can do the same thing and take off a bud and put it somewhere else. So these will attach to these. I know you can't see it right now because there's white on the backing, but once you remove that backing, those images are going to go together. So it's going to lay about here. I'm just estimating. So I'm going to bring mine up to where it matches this, and then I will extend the stem with one of the extra, probably this extra stem, maybe this one. If I have a whole image left like this that I'm not using right here, like I don't need to have that in here, then I will take the whole image out and use it in something else. So I'm going to do that right now. Anything I know to do, I do right away so that I can picture my image the way that I think I'm going to want it. You can always add it back, but you want to take out what you do know as you know what you're doing. And then this B right here will not make any sense, that B, because there's the A. I'm taking the A out. You can leave the A or the B. You can remove them. You can use them for something else. Do you see those little A's and B's? They're just the whole picture. It would make sense, but just having it by itself doesn't. So this image I will use on another project. I don't need it. So there's a whole nother image that I can use. Then I'm going to do the same thing I did on the right hand side, and I'm going to take this image and place it on the left here, and then I'm going to take this top of that transfer piece, and it's going to sit about right there. So same thing, I'm probably either going to bring it all the way down to the bottom here so it's not as high. If I do that, I'm going to look at the scale as I'm going, and I'll see which direction I want to go, or I'm going to extend it with something else. And with that one, I'll probably have to take a thicker stem off of one of these. We'll see how much I have. Okay, so moving on, these have to attach here. I'm going to give myself plenty of extra because I do not know exactly where they're going to line up until I take the backing off. And I'm not going to take the backing off of anything until I know, because holy heck, they stick to themselves, they stick to each other. And I'm going to cut along a line, giving myself extra, like I said, extra. I'm going to cut along one of these lines so that I can make it straight. So I just pick the line that I'm going to use, make sure that it goes well over what I need, and I'll pick this line. Love these grids, and again, I am using way too much of my line, but that's okay, because like I said, I could go back in and use these to make stems for some other project, or just falling leaves. Sometimes I'll do like a vase with flowers in it, and then I want some leaves hanging out the side. These are perfect for that, so don't throw away any scraps. Use all your scraps. So that is a scrap. And then this one, I'm doing the same thing. I'm gonna try to cut along the same line I did over here, just so long as I'm keeping extra. And again, I have a whole set of leaves I can use for something else, or a stem to extend another project. So I hold on to all my, and I usually keep them in a little file folder, and I go back through them as I need them. Okay, so right here, I can see, but I can see what I need to do, but I can't really see. So I'm gonna kind of try to get as close as I can without, you know, I don't wanna cut into my image, but I'm gonna get as close as I can. Just to kind of get an idea of, like I said, my layout, where my flowers and my leaves are going to hit on my project. Okay, so I've just cut a little bit off to make it so that I can see when I put them down where they're gonna land down below. And this gives me an idea. So mine are gonna be about right here, and that's what it's gonna look like. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the same thing over here. So this lines up to here, and this lines up to here. So again, I'm gonna cut these. I'm going the other way this time. Okay, so here I'm doing the same thing I did before. I'm getting them as close as I can to kind of visualize where they're gonna go. And then this time I'm gonna cut it at this line, and let's see where it's gonna go. So, because I might be able to salvage that leaf. No, I don't wanna cut it that close. So I am gonna use my line, and what I'll probably do is, I don't wanna affect my stalk, but I can take off this leaf. I don't know if you can watch me do this. So I'm gonna take off this leaf that attaches itself to this, and then I'm gonna go all the way down to the stalk, because I don't wanna eliminate my stalk at all. And I'm going to go back up to the line I needed it to. So it's gonna go approximately right there. So I have plenty of room for that leaf, and then I took the whole entire bottom of this leaf. And then I just have to go up to, I just have to make sure that these two things line up, so I can actually cut down to this whole line here. I'm good, all the way across. Okay, so I don't know if you understood that. So what I did basically is, I needed this stalk to go all the way to the bottom of my piece, right? But I didn't need this stalk. I didn't need this leaf in there, the whole leaf. So I cut up into my image. There's nothing there, so I just cut up into that to get the whole leaf out. Okay, so now I have an entire leaf that I can use. And remember, I'm gonna need this stem just in case I need to extend this little branch over here, and maybe the same stem I can use to extend both of these. We'll see. Okay, so I've got those, and I will be using those. So actually, because I'm using those, I'm gonna cut around this. And what I could do, I could even add this lettering somewhere if I wanted to, because this flower is this lettering right here is this flower right here. So I can do that if I wanted to. Obviously, I'm gonna have to go back in and see where it's gonna fit, but I could put it here. I could even take this whole flower out and move it into this blank space. So I'm gonna visualize everything right now first. First I'll visualize and then I'll decide where things go. The good thing about these images are that you can go back to your design board in the back and you can decide which pieces you will use. And if you lose your direction of where things are, you can look at this as your guide. Sorry if the light is shining into your eyes. I know it is mid-afternoon here and it gets really bright through my windows are super high. They just bring light in, but they still reflect down certain parts of the day. Okay, so this is gonna be here. This is gonna be somewhere over here, roughly, right? I can cut around these so we can get a better idea because that's probably gonna be easier than overlapping them. I'll cut these so we can get a real good idea of where they're going. And so those are gonna be here. Okay. And then I think that they're gonna be fine if I go lower, but we'll see after I keep going. So these are gonna go right here. That's where they live. And then these will go here. We decided that. And then this one will go here. So I have a couple blank spots in my image. So I can bring the whole image in a little bit on this side, bring the whole image this way. I'm gonna do the same thing so we can see. Everything is all about visual with me. Okay, so this one goes to this one. And you can kind of see those grids. They help you line it up so it's even. So nice, those grids are so nice. And then same thing down here. I want my whole image to be across the entire window, right? So I just line up my piece as best as I can, as best I can. And then again, I'm going to be going through as I take them off the sheets one at a time. I'll be going through and lining them up without the white backing, and then it changes everything too. But this will give us a good idea of where everything's gonna be. So this one seems like it's quite long, and this one's a little shorter, so I think I am going to be borrowing from that other piece, but I don't know that I need to on this one, on this side, on the lavender. This is gonna go right into that, and I can start it. And then this looks pretty naked to me. So I'm thinking I can bring this guy back and maybe even go up into the words. Okay, so until I get rid of all the white excess, it's not set in stone, but I think that's a pretty good visual. Okay, I'm happy with it. I'm gonna save aside my little stem so I can use it. And all the rest of the pieces I would put in a folder for another project. So I have quite a few leaves to use for maybe an urn or something I did on a signboard. Okay, so now let's get it laid out. So here's my layout, and I have to start, get up and look. I have to start with the letters. I want to make sure that they go together because that is a huge part of this. So I'm going to take this whole section out. I know where it goes. I'm going to take this whole section out. I know where it goes, along with the top. I'm going to move all of these things over temporarily. I think I've got my middle. I'm looking at my spacing over here to try to see visually if that's too far or not far enough over. And like I said, I left myself a little less room on this side because I have a little bigger, but I don't want it to look off balance. I don't need him right now, so I'm going to put him over here. And then I have to completely separate the images. You do not want to keep this one next to this one at all, because they can stick to each other. This, if it lands on this carrier sheet at all, if they go together at all, you can take that image and it'll stick to this carrier sheet. And then your image is ruined. You don't have, I have fixed things with other inlay, like I've covered them, but these letters especially, you don't want to screw it up, right? So because the grids are going to go away as soon as I lay this down, I might take a little marker and mark a little image if I need to, you know, just to make sure that it's in the right place. You know, I know I can see where it's going to go. I have a little area right there, but you can just mark the glass because you're going to be taking the white away. Okay, so once you take that white away, you want to know where this image is going to land, because once you stick this down, holy heck, you're done. Okay, glass especially, you're like, there is no margin for error with glass. So see how I'm holding it on the sides, I'm holding it straight. I'm really trying to not lay it down until I can completely get it straight. And then once it's down, you cannot move it. It's down, okay? Then like I said, you have to remove all the plastic or this image will stick to this plastic. If you laid this image on this without the white carrier sheet, you're done. It'll stick to this carrier sheet. So you have to do them one at a time, is what I'm saying. They all come with a stick, a rubbing stick. It's very easy. And you just pray that you get it straight. You just rub it off. And if you can catch, oh, now see, I caught too much and I ended up getting it on my carrier sheet. You can catch a little bit of air. Sometimes a bubble comes in there, and then you can go through and see. Now I caught a little too much air, so I'll show you how to fix this. I have a little piece that's supposed to be down there, and you can still go back and rub it on down there. If it goes on the top, it almost never comes back off again. I can go back in with another little black piece of something else and try to adhere it. It's not coming off. It's not coming off, but I'll show you how to fix it. It's not hard. Okay, so basically get your image down as flat as you can first with your hand or your paper towel or, you know, plastic or whatever you can use that won't be, with glass it's super easy because the glass really likes this image. Something that won't rub your image and make too many bubbles. So I'm going over all my edges, going over all my letters, and then I try to lift up a corner like I had. Make sure your edges are down, and then sometimes you can catch the bubble of air and it just lifts it right off. And I find that with my glass cleaned with that vinegar water, or, you know, just a clean glass, it comes off really easily. If it comes off with the carrier paper and doesn't stick down, go right back down and push harder. It'll come off. It will eventually stick to the glass. This one's not even coming off as easily as usually it does. Oh, there, we got a bubble. We got a bubble, we're gonna ride that bubble. There it goes. Usually it comes off just that easy on glass. You can do these on mirrors. You can do this on any slick surface. But of course it'll also go on paint and furniture and anything else. Okay, so looks like some of my little pieces are still stuck. You can still go back in and try to figure out where they came from and put them back down. I'm not even seeing where they came from, honestly. I don't see anything that's missing anything, so I'm not really gonna worry about it too much. Maybe that R and that I see a little bit. Yeah, okay. And then I don't know why that is not coming off. I'm gonna go back in and see one more time if I can get that thing to adhere to the glass. It's not coming off my carrier sheet, and it probably stuck upside down. It probably lifted and stuck back up upside down. So I can cut a teeny tiny piece of something else, like a little teeny tiny piece of an M or that C or something if I want to go back in. We'll see how noticeable it is, because sometimes it doesn't even matter. Okay, so now it is down, and typically I take my carrier sheet and rub them down. And this sheet you can use as a mask for stamping, so you can use it to do, I like to repurpose everything. You can use it as a, to put paint on to mix, so I don't get rid of anything. I save all my stuff, all my scraps. Okay, I have a little something on my finger that adhered to my finger that I am going to try to put down on my L. And I have a special tool, I need to move that over. So I will do that in a second. Okay, now I'm gonna go back in with my next sheet. Okay, same thing. If you lay this down, you don't want to drop it until you know it's exactly where it needs to be and it's lined up perfectly with your other sheet. And it doesn't look like it's lining up very well because it might be that the window is crooked. So I have to cut a little bit of my edge off so that it lines up. Aren't you glad that I'm doing this so you guys can see before you try it? This has nothing to do with the transfer. This has to do with the fact that what I'm putting it on is not allowing me to go up enough, the image to go up enough into that crevice. It's got some space on the other side, on this side, that it doesn't have on this side. So now I cut the very edge of that off, trying hard not to put my hands in the image, but holding it by the side. I'm gonna go right up to that O, and I'm gonna try to line it up. It's a little tougher to do because I don't have that edge anymore to hold on to. Okay. Let's see if I can get it all the way on without sticking it down yet. Make sure it's somewhat even. So these have to line up too. So you want to line up, not just do I have to line up my O up there, see, which I'm lining up, but I have to line up my rows down here, which is not being very easy to line up for some reason. So I'm going to start with the rows. little bit there. And then go to my O. And I'm holding my breath. Oh shoot. I'm holding my breath because I don't want it to stick down until I'm ready. Come on, guys. We can do this. Okay, so I'm lining up and I'm holding my rose with my left hand, and then I'm trying to guide my O with my other hand. And I think I did it, finally. Sorry guys, it takes a while. Okay, want to make sure it's perfect because that is the hardest part right there. That is the part that requires the most patience and perseverance, is lining up letters. And oh, I'm a little off here, but I don't think it's going to be noticeable. And I had it together. But you know the good thing about these is you can flub a little bit and you can put a little something over it, like I said. I'll show you all that. If it makes a difference. I don't know that you can even really see it. I'm just a little off here, just a little bit. And then see, once you lift it up, it's down. You can't move it. Once you've rubbed it down, it's down. So you can't go back, but you can go back and re-rub in stuff that doesn't come off. And you see where I had this little spot right here. I can try to mask a little bit of it. You know, there's no right way or wrong way to use these things. So it's just like the artistic nature that you have anyway coming out to kind of fix your little flaws. And I think that's really cool how it's going up like this. Let's see. This was the one that was over here. If I left it down here, it would have to come all the way down to here, which might be okay. Now you can see what I was talking about when you can see the whole image. Do the parts you know you have to do first, like these. These have to go together. There's no doing it differently. Do those first. And then go onto your sides and see how that looks. I could always, if there's more space over here, I could do it over here and put the lavender over here, which looks like I might have to do that just because I ended up with more space over here. There's that empty space right there. So, you know, you can arrange it differently. And then I'll probably put the lavender on this side. So look at your stuff as you're going and see where you want things. This is really cool. That's really cool. I like the feeling. I like how this lettering kind of goes in here. And there was something I was going to put here. I think it was this with that lettering. Okay. So that's probably going to be my layout. So I can do that right now. But I'm going to start with this. I have to do first. And it has to go in a certain order. The hardest part is not looking at where I cut it, which is not lining up. The cut marks are not lining up. It's the image that's lining up. The image together has to line up, not where I cut it along the edge. I just have two little things to go. I have to do the top of this lavender piece here, which should just line up easily because it's part of the design. And then one that I have to create. It's a little trickier because I do have to make one from another piece. However, this has plenty of stock and it actually is about the same size, so it should not be hard at all. I'm gonna take off that little leaf at the end because I don't need that. I'm gonna measure about how much I need. I'm gonna overlap a little and I'm just gonna cut off a little. I'll give myself plenty of stem, stalk, whatever you want to call it. Actually, I think I'm going to turn it this way because it's thicker at the bottom and it'll match up better. And then I just go right to the base of this one, right onto the glass. And I am just using my fingernail for this one because I really don't need too much. I don't even need that extra little piece. So I'll go in and scrape off this stuff. Look at how easily it came off with my fingernail. Without it being sealed yet, I can just take it right off. I have a little picky tool too. Okay, so that being said, there's my image. I'll do a little fine tuning and then I'll go back in and I'm gonna pour resin on the top. Once again, if you have not seen me do that, I do have a resin video where I am pouring on, not this image, but I am pouring on top of glass just like this. It's just a different floral set that I've done. So this is the Floral Parisiensis. It's an IOD, Iron Orchid Designs transfer. I sell them in my shop, rhapsodyartbarn.com, on my website, or if you're in Salem, Oregon or nearby, you can come get them there. But this is the window and it will have a watery effect once I pour the resin on. So go check out that video. Okay guys, thanks for joining me. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. You can always visit me on my lives. I do Facebook Lives all the time. And I'd love to have you ask any questions you need and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks guys.